What up, you guys? It's Mike.
It's Jasmina.
It's Jen.
So we all know that the wedding thing is kind of crazy in China. You guys may not be too familiar because you don't. I used to work in the wedding industry. Even here, it's crazy the way that Chinese people get married because different regions of China have different customs. Okay, so like the north is less traditional; it's more Western. The south is more traditional. But it seems like the commonality of Chinese weddings has now been just revolving around money. Revolving around cash. Now, we know that even in the old days, when you want to marry a girl, you have to give her family money. Like a dowry to kind of, here's some money, and I guess that's practiced all around the world. Like, some place you give them a sheep or something. Nowadays, what they're saying in this news article that's recently came out is that since 4 years ago, the amount of money you have to give to the girl's family has went up 20-fold.
So everything's based on money now.
Everything's based on money.
It's not even love anymore.
You know what it is? I'll tell you this right now. I personally experienced this. Back when I was, it's like years ago. I met some girl online, a Chinese girl, like a flight. I don't even know how we met. Like we met online years ago. Like, I don't know, 8 to 10 years ago. And we were like, okay, cool. So we grab a dinner. I'm like, yeah, you want to go grab a dinner? And then I'm dorky, and I'm like, I don't know, let's go grab some meat. And I'm dorky, and I love food. And she was like, well, how much money do you make? Like, first question.
Wow.
And I'm like, and I said this back. I'm like, I'm not really comfortable telling you this because that's kind of personal. I said this exactly like that. And she said, well, that's very normal. Like, it's a very normal question.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she said that's very. Can you imagine?
Was she in mainland China?
She was from mainland China. Yeah. Can you imagine on your first date, your significant other's like, were you yourselves? Would you ever ask that question?
That's like the number one rule not to ask.
Right, in the society. But over there, that's apparently what is setting the standard for marriages now. Especially with this. This article is saying this, and it's true, because we heard this from many sources, that if you don't have money, a lot of people in China, if you don't have money, car, house, you're not getting married. That's why a lot of people in rural China, we've done stories like this where they're borrowing money to buy a house so they can get married.
Wow. I also can see this as very competitive because people who have to get money, they have to be high rank in class. And also there's a shortage of women because of the one-child policy. So this is just kind of getting out of hand.
Well, that's why a lot of Chinese are going for brides in Vietnam and even Russia, because apparently there's an abundance of women in Russia. Wow. And so they're even traveling to Russia to find brides and whatever. But nowadays, the average to get married in China to pay the women's family is around $30,000. This is not your could not just be your wedding. That might not even include your wedding.
Just the money.
That's just like, here, my female girlfriend, fiance's family, so I can just marry your daughter.
Dang.
So anything lower than that, the family's gonna reject?
Well, that's average. Okay. So we don't know what they can reject. I'm kind of curious. Let's say you're a girl, right? And there's like 5 guys after you. Do you marry the guy you love the most? This is really interesting, right? Do you marry the guy you love the most, or do you marry the guy that gives you the most money? Also, if there's 2 guys that you sort of like semi-equally, like let's say you like one guy 100%, you like the other guy 95%, but the 95% gives you $10,000 more.
I think a lot also has to do, if your family finds out that you have 2 different people, they'll just, in China, I think their family would actually say, go with the one with the most money, and you'll be pressured.
Well, I think a lot of instances you are right, because right now Chinese girls are brought up, their families are telling them you want to marry someone rich. It's almost like they're not encouraging the girl themselves to be like, have your own careers and do your own stuff. Although there's definitely a lot of there's definitely more and more females in China who are more self-sufficient, more like, go-getters, and that's also why a lot of them are not married, past the age of 27, which renders them quote-unquote leftover women. It's almost like you're instilled in your thought process when you're born, when you're growing up, that you gotta marry someone rich. You gotta have someone to lean on, instead of like, you can do whatever you want and make your own fortune.
Going back to your question, I don't think I would ever be in a situation where I had to choose between 2 people who I liked enough to marry. Like 2 people, because I don't think that ever happened for me.
Yeah.
But yeah. And even if I had to choose, I would still choose the one I love the most.
Right. It wouldn't happen to you because you're in this society. You're brought up thinking like love is more important. But let's say there's a girl in China, and then she is more taught to be on the material side. And so maybe feelings even play a second fiddle to that. So there's two people who maybe she doesn't love even. Like there's two people who are she's like
she's definitely gonna marry the one who has more money.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm thinking. And I'm not trying to generalize. I'm not trying to say all Chinese girls are like that in China, but these stories are coming out for a reason, okay? This is not just, you can't just say this is not affecting, a girl's thought process at all, because it definitely is. If this is the story that's coming out, okay, you need $30,000 to marry a girl. What if you're broke? What if you're a starving artist? That's like 90% of the young people here in this country is like, you're broke, so you're not getting married? I mean, and this is also why a lot of Chinese parents are giving their kids money so they can get married, even if they have to sell their own houses and whatever, or give their houses to the kids. The parents are even doing that because they know if I don't do that, then my kid might not get married.
So why do you think that it skyrocketed so much these past few years?
Well, it's the same as inflation, right? I mean, if you want to talk about the market, why has rent gone up? Why has anything gone up?
It's the same thing.
I think that contributes to it, but also I think that, I don't know, it's just the amount of competition.
You think it's competition? Yeah. You think like Jen, if you were in China, 10 guys would come up to you and they're like bidding on you. They're like, yeah, I'll give you 20,000, I'll give you 30,000. So, I mean, you say that now because you weren't brought up in that mentality, but if you were brought up in that society, this is normal to you. Like that girl that I was talking to, asking how much I made as the first question was normal to her.
It's just weird seeing this because in so many other news that we do, we see these desperate girls who are trying to get married as well.
Yes.
But at the same time, there's so many guys who are desperate to get married to girls. So just like...
Well, I think they're desperate. The girls, there's some who are, a couple of different reports that have come out in the last couple of years. One is that girls who are past the age of 27, which are considered leftover women, they're getting less desperate because they're doing it because they choose to. Because they have careers, they want to be career people, which is like, that's a good thing. Another thing is like in China, there are some people who are, maybe quote unquote desperate, but they still want that bare minimum requirement. I feel like there are those out there who are like, you know what, I'm not married, but yet I still won't marry you if you have zero.
It's kind of like when you want a boyfriend, but you have like these high standards.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like someone's desperately like wanting a boyfriend, but at the same time they're like, oh, if he doesn't meet my certain requirements,
exactly.
I don't want him.
Exactly. So I think there's a lot of that going on too, but this is kind of crazy. Realistically, if I was to marry a girl and the girl says, you have to give my family $30,000, like she says that you have to give, this is not our wedding, this is just my family, I have to give them 30,000. See ya. See you later. Have fun. Good luck with the next idiot. Like, come on. I mean, money should never be the basis of any relationship. That's just asking for trouble. That's just asking for trouble. Okay, if I'm paying you $30,000 to, and people do this. It's not like this is a common thing. If I'm paying you that, then isn't our relationship partially based on money? And so later on, if let's say we're married and I'm bankrupt, are you gonna leave me?
It just asks for more divorce. It's just making this all worse. And
this is why also, they say like almost every rich guy in China has a mistress. There's even a mistress village in Arcadia, California. If you guys don't know, that's called nicknamed Mistress Village, where rich Chinese guys buy their mistresses' houses here. Isn't that because your relationship is more a business transaction than anything sentimental? So that's what I'm thinking. Isn't that just breeds infidelity? And like you said, high divorce rates. So I mean, this is kind of ridiculous to me. But unfortunately, that is what's happening over there. And I feel like the reason it's happening, I'll go a little step further. The reason it's happening because there's a lack of a moral compass in a lot of Chinese society right now. I mean, that's just the way it is. I'm sorry if you guys don't like hearing that, but come on, let's be honest here. Why is there deadly fake foods? Why is everything counterfeit? Why is like nobody gives a regards to, like literally there are people out there in China making fake rice that could kill people, but because they make a profit, they don't give a rip. So let's be honest here. I'm not trying to knock, I'm Chinese, I love China. Whatever, you might want to think, I love China, all right? But I also want to admit there's problems, and I feel like with the decay of moral values and shit, that's what leads to these things. So, I mean, defend it how you want, but I feel like that's the primary reason. But let us know your thoughts about this whole story. Thank you for watching. See you.
Bye.